In a world where extreme competition exists everywhere, what does it take to have success in your career and in life? Join me, Nirvana Chaudhary, as I sit down with some of the most successful individuals to discover the secrets to their success, what continues to drive them, and to hear a few exclusive stories in the process. What drives them and their success code, their mantra for making it bigger. Hello everyone, I'm back again with my podcast, Making It Bigger. Today I have with me in Dhaka, a young, aspiring, or rather successful, and one of the youngest leaders of any chambers that I've heard of, and especially of probably the oldest chamber in Bangladesh, Dhaka Chambers. He's currently the president of that, apart from leading and running a very successful conglomerate. I have with me my very dear friend, my brother, Mr. Rizwan Rahman. Rizwan, thank you so much for coming for this podcast.
Always a pleasure, Nirvan.
Rizwan, first thing I ask, you're young, you're driven, you've already taken the helm of, leading such an important chamber like DCCI. What is it that really drives you? What is your success mantra?
To be honest, I've grown up seeing trade advocacy, promoting investment and business climate at home and abroad from a very young age, because to be honest, I've seen that in my father, how he would forego his own business to, work for the betterment of the business climate in the country so that unitedly in the entire private sector can actually gain something out of it. And that is something he always felt that, if the whole private sector is gaining, then automatically I'm making the change. So from that perspective, success is something you can't really measure. And I have never learned, to be honest, I personally don't think I am successful. I'm on the verge of getting there, but I don't know how far away I'm from it. But if you want to put a number on it, you can always argue there's a long way to go. But long story short, my mantra is don't set a target you cannot achieve. Or even you can say, don't set a target that you can achieve. So in order to get there, success is not something one can justify by oneself. Rather, the people around you will say whether you are successful or not. So from the perspective that you are saying that you think that I am successful or not, I believe that there is no end to trying and, making the effort for a better world as a whole, not only a business climate. It can be for anything. It can be for CSR. It could be for charity. It could be for family. So personally, I don't feel there is any mantra of mine. But long story short, if you put your heart in, and if you enjoy, most importantly, if you don't think it's important, if you really enjoy what you're doing, you will get there. So I believe that this is something I've been doing. I really enjoy working for the community, which is the business community in my case, as you introduced me. And I believe that leads to your success story in the future.
So beautifully put. So it's not a destination, it's a journey, right? That you're continuously working towards. Every day you've got your, the benchmarking or the pillars completely aligned, working towards the society, working towards the community, business community, policy advocacy, etc. And you're continuously giving it your best shot. And I guess that as a human being continuously makes you better and better, right? Now, our part of the world, especially chambers, which represents the business community, business individuals, business houses, entrepreneurs, etc., are always perceived to be headed by pretty older generation guys. And suddenly I'm seeing this shift where, someone below the age of 40 is taken at the helm of probably the most important chamber in the country. How has that been perceived? At the same time, how have you seen that and I've seen a lot of youth in DCCI that you've inducted in, right? How do you feel it's helped them, and how is it changing the entire, the next generation coming into the entire world of chambers?
I'm very glad you asked me that question. Now, it helps me to express my views to all your listeners. Initially, when I joined, there was a lot of negative doubts about whether I would be able to perform or this is primarily because we are of such a young age, of course, the age group below 40. Now, the question is among the leadership that whether such young people would be able to perform or be able to achieve what the private sector is really asking for from the public sector, from the government officials. You're talking about ministers, you're talking about secretaries and high-ups. So initially, I had to face a lot of barriers to entry. And of course, within my own team, they were always thinking, oh, you are a young fellow. I don't know how the public sector is going to take a look at it. It's always seniors. And of course, my argument was always age is just a number. I just finished a whole calendar year of my presidency. And to answer your question in one line, I was literally forced by DCCI to continue for the year 2022. Now, if that answers your question, I think they all took back what they thought, and they thought that, it's time for the younger generation to take over. And of course, at this point of time, my second in command, the senior vice president, is also a younger man. He's younger than me, actually. And right now, the leadership feels that, okay, it's time for the new generation, the youth, to take over, because we also have the power of convincing these people, and with our dynamism, because at the end of the day, our dynamism is a different approach than the seniors, So we can be more convincing, we can be more pushy, we can get away with a lot of things that maybe seniors cannot. And also in the public sector, it's also a big change for them. But I must also appreciate the fact that the government and all these semi-autonomous bodies, they have seen it in a positive light. And to be honest, this year, 2021, has been one of the busiest year. We have made, I think, over 107 national policy advocacy. So we have made policy recommendations. We have made recommendations for taxes. Out of 15 recommendations, 8 of our recommendations have been accepted by the National Board of Revenue, which is a huge deal for a private sector organization. And at the same time, we have been taking full advantage of the virtual readiness of Bangladesh. Right now, as you know, that our lifeline goes to Zoom or WebEx or, all those virtual meeting rooms. And I think if this was, no disrespect, but if this was a 60 or 70-year-old president, they would have some issue of technology adoption. If you know that Bangladesh, at this point of time, well advanced in technology, but the senior citizens, not so much. So definitely it was much helpful for us to take the helm of the leadership and at the same time keep ourselves active and of course get what we want eventually.
I know. I think being agility and sort of, responding to change. And that's what COVID's also taught us, right? And I think, even in our organization, and especially Chamber is much more difficult in our own organization, because in our organization, we have to deal with one man. Let's say the founder of the company, who can be the biggest lifeline or the biggest bottleneck, right? Lifeline if they feel the next generation is ready to take over or take over, etc. I have had tremendous respect for your father, someone I look up to as my own father as well. And one thing I've seen in him is he's headed the most important chambers or the most important organizations globally representing Bangladesh, has a successful track record. But most importantly, he has an impeccable record when it comes to reputation, impeccable record when it comes to credibility, right? As a son, tell me one thing you've learned from your father.
First, let me tell you the drawbacks of it. When someone finds out whose son I am, they become very alert. Number one, they look at it differently. They try, it's a huge challenge for me, to be honest. You are thinking, oh, you are so blessed. No. Of course, it's a blessing in disguise and in front as well. But it is a huge challenge, because what happens is when somebody compares you to your father or your son, they try to think of you at par, which makes my level to reach much, much higher. I don't intend to go there. That is not my target. That is a target which is barely achievable by many, as you rightly pointed out, or as if, however, it impacted you in your personal life or your professional life. One thing I've learned from my father is, my father is a very angry man. But the funny part is, no one in the world knows that.
That's news to me, by the way.
Yes. So the funny part is, he always said, your anger, your happiness, your frustration, do not show to anyone. You have one face for the public. That's it. And it's not a face that you can easily read. And that helps you go a long way, because you can turn the direction of the conversation without showing your face about how you feel. Or, even when you are in a business negotiation, whether you are being cornered or whether you're being aggressive, the opponent must not know. So from that perspective, he always has that straight face. I've always failed in doing that.
The poker face.
It's not a poker face. Let's just call this the Mahabur Rahman face. It's something we have never seen. So from that perspective, I have seen that his patience. And another thing, which, to be honest, it sounds a bit biased when I say it, but his organizational skills. When I say organizational skills, see, he's a very reputed businessman, but that doesn't make him the richest or the largest business house in the country either. But his organization skills means, if he needs to put a group of people into one room together, or walk together with a whole group or an army together, he would do that in a heartbeat. It takes him no less than an hour to gather the most important people together, because at the end of the day, they just blindly follow him, they just blindly trust him. And the reason I see it is because he does not have any agenda for himself.
Absolutely.
It's always for the community.
The
It is
larger
always for the society. It is always larger than life. And that's exactly why. Because when you see a political leader, when somebody follows him, because that person has an agenda to be in that person's position. But when he is doing it, my father is doing it, he knows it's just for the community as a whole. And from that perspective, leadership goes a long way when you are absolutely selfless.
Thank you, Rizwan. Learned so much from this short conversation. Also another side of Uncle as well. I really am so extremely proud of you for whatever you're achieving. I can wish you the very best going forward. Thank you so much for coming in this podcast. Really appreciate it.
Absolute pleasure, Nirvan. I look forward to listening to it.